In the heart of the Dustlands, where the earth cracked like old leather and the sun scorched dreams to ash, lived a girl named Mira. She was 12, small for her age, with hands calloused from digging and eyes that held the stubborn glint of someone who had stared down despair and refused to blink. The Dustlands weren't kind. Once a valley of green, it had withered under a decade-long drought, leaving behind skeletal trees and a village of weary souls. Mira's people survived on meager rations from distant aid trucks, but hope was scarcer than water. Mira's treasure was a single seed, found buried in the ruins of her grandmother's garden. Her grandmother, Ilara, had been the village's keeper of stories, whispering tales of a time when roses bloomed and rivers sang. Before she passed, Ilara pressed the seed into Mira's palm and said, "This is grit, child. Plant it, fight for it, and it'll grow." Mira didn't know if the seed was rose or weed, but she clung to it like a promise. The village scoffed when Mira announced her plan to grow something in the Dustlands. "Foolish girl," said old Tobin, his voice rough as the parched earth. "Nothing grows here but regret." Her father, worn thin by years of hauling water, begged her to save her strength for practical things. Even her little brother, Kale, who still believed in miracles, looked doubtful. But Mira's heart was a stubborn ember, and Ilara's words burned within her. She started small. Each dawn, while the village slept, Mira trekked to the dry riverbed a mile from home where the soil was less hostile. She carried a cracked bucket, her only tool, and dug a shallow pit. The seed went in, covered by dirt that felt like betrayal. Water was the problem. The village's well was nearly dry, rationed to a cup per person daily. Mira couldn't steal from that. Instead, she woke even earlier, collecting dew from stones and leaves, drop by painstaking drop in a tin cup she hid under her shawl. It took hours to gather enough to dampen the soil, but she did it, day after day. Weeks passed. The seed didn't sprout. The village's whispers grew louder, their pity sharper. "Give it up, Mira," her father said one night, his voice heavy. "You're breaking your own heart." But Mira thought of Ilara, who'd once carried water across the valley during a sandstorm to save a wilting vine. Grit wasn't just stubbornness. It was showing up when every bone screamed to quit. So Mira kept going, her knees bruised from kneeling, her hands raw from digging. One morning, as the sun bled orange across the horizon, Mira saw it, a speck of green no bigger than a thumbnail piercing the earth. Her heart leapt, but she guarded the secret, knowing the village's doubt could crush it. She named the sprout Ilara, whispering to it as she dripped dew onto its fragile stem. Days turned to weeks, and Ilara grew, a spindly thing but fierce like Mira herself. She built a makeshift fence from broken branches to shield it from the wind, and when a sandstorm loomed, she draped her only blanket over it, shivering through the night to keep it safe. The village noticed Mira's absences, her dirt-streaked face, the quiet fire in her eyes. Kale, curious, followed her one dawn and gasped at the sight of Ilara, now a foot tall with a single bud. "It's real," he whispered, and Mira swore him to secrecy. But secrets don't keep in small places. Soon old Tobin and others trailed her, expecting another failure. Instead, they found a miracle. A rose, red as defiance, blooming in the Dustlands. The village changed that day. Tobin, who'd forgotten how to hope, brought a cup of his rationed water. Others followed, offering drops from their own shares. They didn't speak of it outright. Pride kept their lips tight, but they took turns guarding Ilara, shielding her from storms, whispering their own dreams to her petals. Mira, once the foolish girl, became the keeper of the last bloom, her grit a spark that rekindled theirs. Years later, when the rains finally returned, the Dustlands bloomed again. But Mira's rose remained the village's heart. It wasn't just a flower. It was proof that stubborn love could make the impossible grow. Mira, now grown, taught her own children to tend it, passing down Ilara's words. "This is grit. Fight for it and it'll grow."